Okay, this is going to be a weekly recap from the 24th to the 28th. My voice has gotten a lot better, but it's still not perfect, especially when I talk for a very long time. But I want to get through this. This was a weekly recap, and these are the days right here. I had a screw-up mistake here on Thursday. Not as bad as it was on Tuesday the other week, but I did oversize on this one day here on one trade, and same situation as it was the other week. If I did not have that screw up trade, it would have been a profitable week. And that is also right now in a market where morning panic bounce plays have not really been that nice lately. There was some nice price action, a textbook morning panic bounce play with TGZ on Friday, but it didn't have like a nice daily chart to support it. But that was one. But besides that, hasn't again really been that nice. As for my brokers, I am getting rid of interactive brokers, although I might buy data and have that as like a screener. I'm still debating it. I might do it, I might not do it. I might drop stocks to trade and then use interactive brokers and pay data, which would be a lot less in stocks to trade, and I can have a top percent gainers in the OTC's market to look at. Still debating it because I like the breakouts and breakdowns chat room, and I'm still moving money away from interactive brokers. I'm going to be working on getting a account with Trade Zero so that I can be able to short some of these listed stocks that have been super nice and I've just not been able to be a part of because of the fact that whenever I try interactive brokers, it's not, does not have any shares available to short. That was the case with RETO and BBIG. So yeah, with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and begin with the weekly recap. I had 7 trades. As you can tell, this thing is the one that really messed up the stats, but I did have a good winning percentage. I did not really trade these according to my dollar risk level, and I need to work on that. Again, yeah, my average dollar gain is much smaller than my average dollar loss because of this trade right here, although the other one I barely lost anything. Yeah, average percent gain isn't that nice, but at least it was bigger than my average percent loss. Again, oversized on this one trade on accident, and I lost just $9 this week, which is fine honestly, and that was with $2,200 of trading volume. The lesson is to check the spread before entering a trade and don't take too much risk to get in quickly. So let's go ahead and go over all of these trades here, and let's begin with LKNCY. LKNCY was a morning panic bounce play setup, and this is a OTC, but it's a higher priced OTC, and they don't really work that well or offer that much range just because of the fact that it is a higher priced OTC. Let's look at LKNCY for the 24th. Is right here. So it's not the worst day to trade something like this because it did at least have a run up from 870 to 12. Let's go ahead and look at the day. Yeah, this was it. I was in 1014. Okay, so this was like not a morning panic bounce play. This was like a late morning panic bounce play. 1014, 913 too. So let's look at 913, and I was in at 1014 the time period right here. I was in right here. I probably saw a turnaround. I'm gonna guess I can draw a trend line, and then it probably broke it, and I was in it for that reason right here. Let's just see if I can draw a trend line very quickly. Yeah, you can see going off of the wicks. Right here, I was in at 913, 1013. I did sell in pieces, and I ultimately got out. It looks like just the next minute, honestly, at 9:22. Right here, I guess technically 10:15. Oh yeah, it was 10:15. I was in 10:14. Okay, so I was in right here at 10:14. I guess a minute after the trend line broke, and I sold out at 9:22, which ended up being the right move because it did downtrend. I'm gonna guess I drew a trend line, maybe from here to here, and then no, I honestly don't know why I sold. I probably just didn't like the way it was trading, but that was a trade I took there, and the only thing I could have done differently is that it should have been 100 shares in this case, but that's not a big deal because of the way I do my dollar risk thing, and it was just that, you know, I was in at 9:13, and then cutting losses was just so close, 4 pennies, that I could have doubled my size, because it says that my dollar risk level ultimately was $6, so could have won 100 shares, but that's not a big deal. I don't mind that trade at all. That was not a bad trade at all. Alright, let's look at ILUS, and this was imperfect morning panic bounce play. Man, it seems like I'm gonna have to fight my voice this whole entire video, but let's go ahead and look at ILUS for the 25th. I guess we'll zoom in a bit closer. Yeah, not the best. I probably just saw something clean. I mean, it did go from 22 to 36, and then I'm trading it right here after it had 2 red days. So let's look at the 25th and just see what this one was about. Looks like it did uptrend the entire day, which is nice. I was in at 9:36, 26.6. Let's probably zoom in more. Right here, 9:36, 26.6, and I got out the next minute, 26.7. Just barely sold the thing for a profit. Okay, yeah, this was something I learned this week. I might actually even add it here. You know, if the setup hasn't worked yet, you know, and it looks bad, sell half, not all. Two lessons really. Let's make it fancy and do. Oh, I guess I can't really do that. Okay. Yeah, this was one of the setups that I had that, okay, yeah, it looks like it's not the best looking. It hasn't broken my risk level the day low, and I'm in at 9:36, and you know, I mean, I guess it could work out. VWAP is not that bad. It could be worse. It could be better, though. This one ended up uptrending a lot. It got past VWAP, and there was plenty of opportunity to sell, especially here at this 27.5 level. You can see it was like the bid at some point. And I was just too, you know, I mean, it looks ugly, right? But I just did not have the patience to hold through it because it looked so gross. And I probably didn't like how this candle right here, you know, opened at this level right here. Then it went all the way back here, although it never broke the day low. And that was with some volume too, as you can see by this right here. So I probably thought the whole thing was just ugly looking. I got out for a slight profit, and the thing, I mean, it went to 30, right? But realistically, I could have sold at 27.5. Let's see what that would have been. That would have been a nice percent gain. And I traded a very small size, it seems like. I traded this one with a $5 risk level, which I shouldn't do. Should have stuck to a $10 risk level, or at least not have traded it if that was going to be the case. Yeah, that could have been more ideal. Okay, well, yeah, So again, if I were to redo this, even though it looks disgusting, I'd probably just sell half for a profit, and then if it breaks the day low, boohoo, at least I sold half before it did it at a profit, so then it's not so bad. Or maybe I sold that half at break even, and then at that point, you know, this thing did play out ultimately and made a nice move towards the upside. So yeah, that's definitely something I can try doing in the future to get even better. That's not a bad lesson at all. Let's look at LWLG. I did trade this thing a few times. Yeah, as you can see, I traded it on the last day of the week as well. LWLG number 5. So a morning panic bounce play, but this one in particular broke a trend line, which is why I got in it. Let's look at LWLG for the 25th. And this one's not an OTC. This is a listed stock, but it used to be an OTC. 25th is right here. So the idea with this one is that it broke a trend line right here. I don't know if I can really draw it on this same platform the same way I had it on E-Trade, but it seems like I have to do it from here. Yeah, you can see how the 25th was the day I traded it, and I just saw this trend line right here, and it was following it nicely. You could probably extend this further back to here, and so when it broke it, I thought, all right, this could be the thing where, you know, it breaks the trend line, it stops downtrending, maybe it starts consolidating, and then people who are short this thing, they might be covering, and then people see also the same thing I'm looking at, the trend line breaking, and then they're going to be long. So you know, all of this put together could make a nice uptrend. It did uptrend a little. I mean, it got the $8 from, you know, the 685 level, but it got even lower. It's still downtrending. Excuse me. And that was the idea there. And this one, although it's recorded here, this was not really supposed to be a day trade, because I traded, as you can see, a $70 position. This was supposed to be something where I would buy and hold it for like a super long time, like a few days. And this one, again, it did get the 8. I don't know if I would have sold at 8, but the thing did do what I wanted it to do. It's just that the way it was doing it on the day that I bought looked horrible, so I got out of it rather quickly. And I'm also not the best at holding positions either, so let's go ahead and look at the 25th, which was right here. I was in 959, 703. Yeah, 959, 703 was right here. You know, I saw how it kind of downtrended. It went up, right, and then it came all the way here and it started holding the $7 level, which is why I got in it. But because of this price action, it was looking so gross. I forgot what exactly I didn't like about it, but if you go back to the video that I published today that this trade was made, I'll go over it in more detail. But yeah, I just didn't like the way it was trading, and I got out 1006, 703, 1. 1006 was right here. Yeah, so it looks like it was starting to work, because it did uptrend and got as high as 708, but then it just got sold off all the way to the bottom, and that's when I got out. I could have done better with my sell. I could have tried to sold for a slight profit, but it did uptrend, and it did get to VWAPs at 720. You know, it did uptrend, and again, it did get to the $8 level the next day, but so you can see it broke $7 ultimately, because I just felt that there was somebody with a lot of size selling their shares, and this is exactly what ended up being the case. So this was also another example very similar to ILUS, in that it never broke the day low right here before it made this uptrend. It was looking disgusting. I could have just sold half of my position, you know, for a slight profit or break even, maybe a slight loss, but then I would have been able to participate in here, and that would have been nice. Or maybe it would downtrend, right? But then at least I gave myself a chance to have sold it right here in this uptrend. So yeah, that was a good lesson there. Another example very similar to ILUS. If it just doesn't look nice and it hasn't worked yet, if it starts working but then it looks gross, then I might get out completely. But if it hasn't really, you know, worked yet, you know, it hasn't broken the day low, it hasn't really uptrended, but it looks horrible, the price action, I might consider selling half and then just lower my risk. So yeah, that's a great lesson, another example of that. Let's look at the next trade. Let's look at ILUS, which seems like a regular morning panic bounce play setup for the 26th. Let's take a look at ILUS. I'm not sure why the daily chart is just like not showing this, like why it's cutting off like into the future, but doesn't matter. Let's look at the 26th, which was right here. Not the very best looking daily chart. Again, this would have been more ideal, although I don't know how, you know, this one played out intraday. But let's look at the 26th. Did I really trade this for a morning panic bounce play? Alright, well, let's look at it. 10:39, I was in at 31. Okay, so this was later in the day. It wasn't like a proper morning panic bounce play, you know, right at the market open, 9:34, 9:36-ish. 10:39, 31. Right here, 10:39. I was in right here. Probably saw this downtrend. I probably saw it, you know, holding this 30-cent level, give or take. So I was in thinking it could do a turnaround, and then VWAP is at 32, and I'm in at 31. Not the best range. I got out 10:44. The average was 31.1, so just a slight difference. Probably sold in pieces. 10:44. Right here, I guess this was my last sell. Probably sold the last piece for a slight loss, but I probably try to sell into this uptrend here. Excuse me, and that was the point there with this one. Yeah, it just wasn't really ideal. It's later in the day. It's not a proper panic. It didn't really drop that much. You know, I guess 32 to 30 isn't that bad, but it wasn't really the best setup. Not the best part in the daily chart. That kind of summarizes the crappy, you know, morning panic bounce play opportunities lately. There isn't much I could really say about this thing right here, other than the fact that at least I did trade this with a proper $10 risk level. I calculated perfectly at $10, but right here it's kind of hidden, but I put what my cut losses price would have been, which was 30 cents. So in theory, you know, I'm in right here, right, and then it kind of breaks the day low and I sell at 30, right, which seems kind of drastic, but you never know how bad it could be if it breaks the day low. And that was why, you know, again, it just calculated perfectly to $10. So that was a trade there with ILUS. And let me clear my throat and go over this really crappy trade that I took that kind of messed with the week, but at least it was a great lesson. Alright, let's go ahead and look at enzc, and this was the one that kind of blew up. Just really bad. Remember the check level 2 spread? I got wrecked here because this thing was trading with a very wide spread. And yeah, a $40 risk level is way too much for what I'm trading with. I shouldn't have, you know, traded this one with the size that I did. I just was completely, you know, not lucky in that I traded something that had a wide spread without checking, so I got kind of wrecked on this one. Just a good lesson to learn from it. It was a proper morning panic bounce play. So let's look at enzc for the 27th. 27th is right here, so not the best daily chart either. That's kind of like what all of them have been recently. And let's zoom in onto this day. It looks like, yeah, this was the panic bottom, and it did break this 95 level eventually. It broke it here, it came back, but then it broke it officially in this liquidness and downtrended even more. Let's zoom in a bit more and let's see what my entry was. My horrible entry, 937 was my entry at 9855, so 937 right here, like just an idiot. So this thing was proper. It did drop from this 10 level all the way to this 9.5. It wasn't bad in terms of percentage. It was pretty good. And then 937, you know, I did like how it kind of had this downtrend, you know, then here it kind of tried to come back and went all the way to the bottom, and then here, you know, from here went all the way to the top, and then it kind of downtrended a little, and then here, you know, it looked bad. It didn't get back to the lows, but you know, this thing was now a higher low on this wick right here, a little baby candle, and then it started to work. It got to VWAP actually right here ultimately, and it did offer plenty of opportunity to sell at this 98 level. So you know, what was the problem here? I got owned. I bought the ask, which was way up here, and I was thinking I was gonna get in somewhere here at this 957, this 96 level for the, you know, morning panic bounce play setup. What was the issue was is that I was looking at other ones, and then when I saw this one and I saw where it was at the moment, I knew this was a potential morning panic bounce play, something I wanted to jump in on, and I got in quickly, you know, with the ask already filled out to place my entry, and the ask was just way off from the bid, and I got absolutely wrecked here, and I sold the next minute 938 at 963. Whoop-de-doo, at least I didn't get the very bottom. I sold right here, but again, just got owned with the bid and ask. And what I learned from that other trade from the other week with LWLG is that if I'm accidentally oversized, and in this case I was oversized because, excuse me, if I was trying to get in purposely at 985, you know, then my risk level is 95. So 98 to 95, I would have had to have sized down twice. So 10,000 becomes 5,000, and then 5,000 becomes 2,500. And as you can see, right here it calculates perfectly, you know, a $10 risk level, which is what I was going with. But because the spread was so off, I ended up trading a $40 risk level, and then at that point I would have lost $5. You know, but I would have never have wanted to have been in at such a ridiculous price right here. I would have liked being in at 9.6. Let's just see what 9.6 would have been if I was in at that point. See, my dollar risk level is 15. That's still more reasonable. Yeah, I just got wrecked in that sense, and yeah, that was a good lesson there. It did, because it's a nice pattern that plays out more often than not. You know, it did get to VWAP. It did get above VWAP. It wasn't the best. It was a liquid, but it did offer that opportunity. I just traded this one horribly, and I hope I don't make a mistake like that anytime soon. Let's look at epaz for the 27th, and this was a late morning panic bounce play. So this one had a better daily chart, and that it had this nice run up not too long ago from the sub penny 98 level to 3 cents, which is a lot. But this thing is a very low flow OTC, so it was a bit scary to trade. Let's go ahead and highlight this day right here. And again, this was a late morning panic bounce play. I was in 1048 at 14. So 1048 was right here. 14 I was in right here. So I probably saw this downtrend. Probably the trend line also went in the favor, because this is something I've been doing recently, is trying to, you know, use trend lines more. Going off of this wick right here, as you can see, it broke it ultimately, right? I could probably even try to draw it from this level. I guess it won't let me, but I could try to bring the trend line to this level, and maybe it would be more accurate. But yeah, that was when I took the trade. Again, 1048.14 right here, 1048.14, after it broke the trend line, and then I saw it wasn't just continuously downtrending. Although it broke the trend line, it was actually trying to hold a level right off of this I guess 13.7 level, right? So I got in at right here. Very illiquid, very illiquid. $5 risk level. Normally I would do a $10 risk level, but in this one I don't mind trading a $5 risk level because of the fact that it was so illiquid. You know, anything can happen when the volume is so low. Somebody could just sell a whole bunch and it's at 12, and that would be devastating. So I don't mind that one bit. If it wasn't illiquid, I would have done a $10 risk level, but again, $5 for that reason. Not a bad entry or excuse me, you know, thesis around that. I did sell at 14.5 was my average. 11.01. So 11.01 right here. 14.5 was my average. Right here, 11.0. Yeah, right there, 11.01. I sold on this uptrend. I would have liked it if it was more gradual. This thing was just kind of boom, 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 like right towards VWAP. Didn't like it for that reason, and I was selling in pieces on the way up. That was my average. Nice percent gain, nice dollar gain. Traded small, sure, but you know, if I was ballsy, right, that would have been super cool, but I don't mind it one bit. Let's go ahead and go over the last trade. Alright, let's look at LWLG again, and this was an imperfect morning panic bounce play. Again, summarizes what the morning panic bounce plays have been recently. I've actually, you know, been wanting to consider other setups, but you know, my focus is always going to be morning panic bounce plays. I don't want to get distracted trying 57 different setups. Although I do like looking at other ones, and I will trade other ones. I want to dedicate morning panic bounce plays, and then only when the markets are getting nicer, you know, eventually is when I'll be really making money, ideally from all the practice trading this type of setup through the best markets, the worst markets, the dry markets, and then, you know, right now it's pretty much dry, unideal. And this one is a listed stock too. Let's look at LWLG for the 28th. Alright, so yeah, I probably saw something clean on the day because the daily chart just does not look nice. It's probably highlight from here. I could see why I would trade something like this. My entry was 955, 621, 955 right here at 621, right? Yeah, 621. Not a bad entry right here. I probably saw this thing, you know, broke a trend line again. I like trend lines a lot. They seem to be really just working right now, so I'm going to stick with that. I guess we'll do it from here. Not too ideal. I would like to extend it further back. Yeah, that would make more sense. You know, you can see how it kind of, you know, did a level 2 reversal, broke the trend line also. Then it kind of came back, was like a double bottom, right? And then it was just showing some volatility, some movement, and I got in right here, thinking, all right, you know, it's trying to play off of this, you know, 16, 15 level very nicely. If it blows up, you know, breaks the day low, there's probably going to be a wall of bidders at 6, so I felt like I was well protected. I took the trade for that reason, and I got out ultimately with an average 624, let's just say 625. 10 o'clock was my last sell, so right here was my last sell, and I got out. My average was 625. Didn't offer that much, you know, that's the thing with higher price OTCs, they don't offer that much range. It didn't get to VWAP, you know, in this movement. It did do one more downtrend. It never broke the day low, which was nice. And then after that, it did actually get past VWAP. So, you know, 619 to 639 isn't bad at all. And then we had a bit of a higher low here, and then it got to the 650. So I don't mind my trade there. I could have tried it again, sure, but sometimes I don't like doing that. You know, I get in a setup, it worked, and then I see the same setup or a similar setup or a new setup. I don't want to then trade that because I feel like an addict. And what if I trade that and then I lose and then I'm red? I just need to, you know, get over that and just focus on trading each setup, you know, separately from each other. You know, not, you know, letting that get to me. Just trading each setup differently as its own setup, as if I only had one trade and this is the trade I'm taking right now. That's it for the week. Ideally, I can just not have a big mistake where I'm oversized, I get wrecked on the spread, or I buy too many shares. I've made a few adjustments to prevent these type of things from happening, although, you know, the one I made this week, I just have to check and make sure that the level 2 doesn't have a wide spread. And yeah, that's it. That's all I have for this week, and I hope I can do much better, God willing. Still thankful for the opportunities. It was just a small loss, but definitely want to see some more green. You know, ideally, I just have to trade each of these setups the best that I can, and I think with that, I should be on a good path, God willing.